Welcome back to another episode of Alaskan Rants. I'm your host, Marcus Moore. And like always, we're here giving you the entertainment, the educational, the uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to have in Alaska. Today, we're going to introduce some education into the mix. And I have Alex Rosales. And I'm horrible with names.
It's okay.
He's running for school board CA. And we're going to have a conversation to see what you're about.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, first off, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started and why you're running for the school board?
Yeah. So Alexander Rosales, and my middle name is actually Jesus. I'm named after my dad. It is spelled like Jesus, and he is my homeboy. So
Word.
I walk with that man now. So I kind of got started on this journey going to Juneau last year. I saw the Girls in Sports bill. CJ McCormick from Bethel said trans women were women, and I didn't agree with that. So flew to Juneau, didn't know what I was going to do, and my mom always told me to just look in the drawer where whatever hotel you're in, and there's always a Bible. So I opened it up to Kings 1:18 or 1 Kings 18, and that talks about Ezekiel going to Mount Carmel, talking about you're either believing in God or Baal. So one of the two. And that kind of set me in motion to bring everybody to the truth. And then judgment will come. So
Word.
Here we are.
Well, I figured so the transgender stuff made you run for school board in
not directly at all.
Right.
That was just one thing to get involved. I just saw, Jamie Allard was pushing that bill. And then I saw Riley Gaines on there speaking on behalf of women in sports. I was like, this is something I need to get involved with my girls being in sports as well. So it was near dear into my heart. So it was easy for me.
Yeah, I respect Jamie Allard for putting up that two gender bill. I don't know what the name of the bill was, but
Girls in Sports bill, I think it was, right?
Girls in Sports, sports bill. But I mean, that's important. Okay, there's two genders. Okay,
there is. Yeah.
I believe that if you helped your child transition, you created an act of child abuse.
Right.
Okay, and you should be punished for it. That's literally you just assaulted a child. Okay,
Right.
and you stole their future from them.
Right.
And to me, there's no greater punishment than stealing the innocence from a child. Right.
Right.
So this brings me into a uncomfortable conversation. We'll get in real quick before we hit our top issues that I really want to discuss, which is the budget deficit and the proposal cuts, the state funding debate, the public reaction and engagement that you've probably heard or seen about with families, school closures called rightsizing. We have a lot of buildings outdated or desperately need and repair buildings that are sort of phasing out. You got the charter school issue, right? Like we'll get into that. And then student safety concerns. I've heard that the what do they call them? The resource officers have been cut back in the high schools, right? And that they've actually found like a MAC-10 and other guns at schools where the principals had to, with no resource officers, go confront a student. And this happened, I think, at Bartlett High School, if I can remember that correctly. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that it did come from Bartlett. Yeah. So those will be the topics that I want to get into. But we were at a Moms for Liberty meeting a week ago. Right. And you had posted earlier that transgender kids, right, if their parents do it, you should castrate their parents. Right. There's a little controversy about like you sort of backing down in that original video, right, versus standing up for your beliefs and stuff. So you want to just sort of explain what happened there, like like why you were sort of caught off guard, because you're not a politician.
I was about to say that same exact thing. I am not a politician. I am a dad. I'm a dad who went through the military, as a crew chief. I've deployed overseas. I've been around a lot of people, but I wasn't ready for that specifically. So I said what I said. And if you look in Matthew 18:6, Jesus talked about, if somebody hurt a child, they should put a millstone around their neck and throw it into the sea and drown. So the post is actually more pro-life, and that's what I am as well. So it shouldn't catch me off guard anymore. But I'm here for the kids. Nobody should come in between a parent and their child unless that parent is harming that child. So that's the difference. Nobody cares about what you do in your home life. Keep it there. send the kid to school. School board and the teachers will educate them. All will be fine.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be.
It should all the rights should come back down to the parents. And so, biggest issue facing us this year: budget cuts, proposal cuts.
Yep.
Right. You want to elaborate on what those cuts look like and are they necessary?
So right now, what they're looking at is a $900 million budget for the Anchorage School District.
$1 billion almost.
Almost $1 billion. Yeah.
$1 billion. $1
billion.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of money. But the number that they're throwing out there is only $5,000 for the BSA, right? You guys have probably heard that. And then doing an increase of $1,000 this year, and then $400 each year after that. So was that $1,800 within the next 3 years? What that's going to actually do is take the BSA from 5,000 up to almost 7,000, and it'll work with inflation, is what they're saying. But they're not talking about how that spending is creating the inflation. So I think we're spending too much right now because there are the things that go into the BSA after you go with that baseline. Like school size is one of them. So I believe if the school size is below a certain population, then the school district gets more money. So that's why they want to keep more schools open.
And that's why they want more students in those specific schools.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. So if you look at Eagle River and Chugiak, they could combine the two into one at Chugiak, but then the district wouldn't get as much money. So it's a game in that aspect. When you start talking school closures, it's a numbers game that way because they're spending so much money in just capital alone.
On the actual property.
Just on the property, the buildings, the maintenance, all of it.
The lighting, the power,
Correct.
all the utilities.
Yeah, and that's expensive. You know, it's probably the second biggest cost after personnel cost.
So to me, understanding, the school administration is just overbloated. Right. They have so many principals, superintendents, 2, 3, sometimes 4 in some schools. Why can't we just have like one principal, one vice principal for every school district, and one superintendent like for the entire state? The state, to me, seems pretty small. And why we have to have all these micromanagers all across the state, right? I don't understand it. Can you explain that to me?
The way it feels like to me is that they're just creating jobs for positions. It's probably a union thing where they're bargaining for more positions and allowing for teachers to move up in position. Because if you're just let's say an elementary school teacher, you want to move up to be a middle school and high school teacher. But those teachers are there for a very long time. And if, it's kind of like Congress, if they don't die, then you're stuck. There's no room for advancement. So the district creates opportunities at the assistant director level to work in between, and they oversee the schools. Now, it is important. However, I don't think we're getting the return on investment that we should with those positions.
With what we're ranked 40th in the U.S. Okay, out of the list of school education just for the U.S. around the entire planet. We were 40th.
Right.
Okay, out of a list of only 40 countries they keep track of. We pay the most per student. Okay,
by country.
Right. Okay, where does Alaska stand in our nation? If we're the 40th nation in the world for education, and we spend the most money per capita per student, where does Alaska sit on the end of that list?
Oh gosh, that's bad. Because we're sitting at 49th in the nation, and we're spending 7th most. All right,
so let me get this right. We're 40th in the country out of a list of 40 countries that are tracked.
Yes.
Okay, then we're
40 out of 40. Yeah.
Out of the 50 states that we have in the United States.
I think we're better than New Mexico.
And then we spend, what was it, 7 times?
7th highest in the nation.
7th highest. Do you know what that number is by chance?
Per student, in Anchorage, roughly 17,000 per student. State of Alaska, 20,000 per student, with roughly 2,500 per student federal dollars. So
So that's what goes back into the school district for the schools, the buildings, the teachers, and the teaching of the student. Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
So $20,000 per student is the number that the school district is not throwing out there. They're just staying at that $5,000 BSA number. So if they increase, like what I said before, to that $1,800 per student, that actually jumps us from $20,000 per student to $30,000 per student. That takes us from a $900 million budget to $1.5 billion just for the Anchorage School District and 44,000 students.
See, and this is where I'm caught up to this whole conversation now, right? Because I'm looking at the budget and I'm like, okay,
there you go.
The budget is 68% federally funded.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
20% comes out of our dividend. Or not our savings, not our dividend, right?
Yep.
And then to make up the deficit, they break into the dividend. So you're looking at even if they break into the dividend at 25% this year,
and that's a conservative number right now.
That conservative number, right? And that means that we don't get a paycheck, folks. Okay, we're not going to get a dividend because all of your dividend money is going to go to two things this year. The BSA allowance that we're talking about right now for the child allocation, right?
Base student allocation.
Base student allocations and the defined benefits package. Now, these are kind of two bills that are wrapped into one because they kind of affect teachers also.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to go ahead, in my opinion, we're going to give teachers a pay raise, right? The administration is going to get a raise, okay?
Yeah.
I would doubt they don't get a raise, okay? And if this does, they come in through.
So here's the thing. The BSA increase, it's a blank check. It's saying to every district across the state, yes, we will give you X amount more dollars per student, and then you can use your multipliers as necessary. In the Anchorage School District, it's much higher than everywhere else. So just a ton of money is just going to funnel into the district, and they can do whatever they want with it. So if you look at how many job openings there are in the district, that's millions of dollars. They can just kind of move wherever they need to.
So hasn't the job openings, though, in the school district, like there are hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yes.
Of job openings in Anchorage School
They
District.
can't fill them.
They can't fill them.
No.
Okay. Why can't they fill them?
So one of the reasons is, so I went through UAF to get my teaching certificate, to get certified through them to become a teacher. It's a process. You got to go through classes and then do a year of student teaching, so you don't get paid. Right now, UAF, it was the only, I say right now, I don't know for sure about UAA now, but 2 years ago, University of Alaska Anchorage lost their accreditation to certify teachers. And I believe that my opponent works with UAA in that department.
How does that work? If you lose your accreditation to certify teachers, what does that mean? That kind of looks bad to me on UAA.
That's like, I'm going to use the example for Eagle River and Chugiak high schools, right? That's like losing a full high school, but then not letting any other students go to the other high school. So then you're only producing half of what you could before because you screwed up.
Yep. So they're sort of shooting themselves in the foot.
They did bad because I would have went to UAA. I would have been in class, would have talked to people, connected better, and I probably would be a teacher right now.
So if they don't pass BSA and the student allowance, what are options if we didn't have to go this route with the BSA? What are some options that the state should have gone, or do you think as a school board you would have helped recommend the direction of where we could go to, not have $1 billion+ budget for the school system?
Responsible spending across the board. There's going to be some tough cuts everywhere, but I think listening to the parents is key. I did appreciate last night that the school board stayed there until almost midnight, listening to parents. They allowed every single person to speak. That is a huge turn of what would happen last year. So it needs to be an understanding between parents or the community at large, really, because we have a lot of business owners that are tied into the school district that I feel that they're not being listened to either. But they're here and we're all invested. So I kind of forgot where you're going with that question or where I was going. So
yeah, forgot. All right. So
lost my train of thought there.
The school board meeting is opening up a bunch of, they're actually having public comment. I seen the photo that you posted. I actually posted that on our X space this morning. And I was like, I wonder how many parents actually got to talk. So I'm glad you did that because I'm going to go re-edit that post to say everyone got to speak.
Yes.
And that's a hands down a different school board than what
Yes.
you've seen last year?
Yes, because I signed up to speak and I was the last one on the list. And after hearing every single parent speak, I just got up there and thanked them because last year when I tried to speak on behalf of school safety, Peyton Guthrie was beat up at Clark Middle School last year. She was bullied for months, and the school district didn't respond. I was having not similar issues, but just communication issues with the district myself. So when I saw that happen to Peyton, I wanted to go to the school board and say something, but I didn't follow their procedures and didn't write on the list that I wanted to speak. And I tried to make a point of order at the end of the public session, and the response was, "No, sir, you will not speak today." So a few months later,
rules.
yeah, about 10 months later, here I am, and I'm speaking on behalf of all the kids. So it's time for change.
Yeah, and I appreciate a dad standing up.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, because I push the 3 P's. Provide, protect, produce.
I like that.
And the first thing a dad needs to do is provide for his family. The second thing he needs to do is protect his family.
Yeah.
Because you can't protect your family if you can't provide for them, and then you need to produce value. Right, and those are good morals, good living standards, an education, sort of a mentorship of what you're going to build out a good future for your children. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's not on the school district.
Right.
That's not on my neighbor.
Right.
That's not on anybody else. That's for you to step up and take that responsibility to build a better, a community, a better future for people. We have to build better kids, and that all comes down to the parents.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say this is all on the school district, because I could push a lot of this onto parents. Real talk.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it needs to be. Parents need to be more involved.
They do need to be more involved,
especially dads.
Especially dads.
Like,
I
need them.
I love the fact that the moms go out and talk.
Yeah.
Okay. But I really want to see more Alaskan men, Alaska dads,
They're
American
here.
first patriots. Okay.
Yeah.
Standing up and taking back our country, stepping up for our country, speaking for our country.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, we're just going to get shoved. All these Marxists, all these communists, all these socialist ideas, and what does that future look like? It's horrible. Future.
It's un-American.
It's un-American.
That's all it is.
Yeah. So I guess number 2 is going to what we were talking about: public reaction and engagement. And I guess we see a difference and a change coming, right?
Right.
As a school board member, what can you do to make what they're the direction they're headed to better, more transparent, more accountability?
I was thinking about that on the drive over here, and so I caught pieces of Elon Musk and Trump last night.
Their Hannity interview.
Yeah. And just being engaged, being focused on American values, right? But they're going in a certain direction. That's going to change. The whole Department of Education is going to change. We see that already with their DEI initiative completely being eliminated at this point. So change is coming. So that's why I'm here as well. I feel like I can adapt a lot better because I don't have those same relationships holding me back into the old ways. There's not a single person that can control me. God is the only one.
I love to hear that.
I don't.
Children,
hey,
right?
Yeah.
God, man, children.
Yeah. The Constitution says it clearly.
Yes, sir.
God gave man the rights.
100%.
Life,
so
liberty.
You brought up
pursuit,
something
happiness.
about Trump dropping DEI and CRT, and they're not going to start funding schools for any of that woke bullshit, right? What's his name? Jared Bryant, the superintendent, right? Mm-hmm. He came out with this thing a couple weeks ago called sanctuary schools.
Yeah, right.
What's your thoughts on sanctuary schools, bro?
So I immediately called my principal at the middle school and asked him what he thought. Sent him an email, asked him what he thought. He got back to me within a couple of days. I knew it would take him some time. They got to go through the processes and the legalities of it. So I heard Dr. Jared on a podcast right afterwards. He said he got no notification personally from the FBI that was coming down. So he put out his own statement preemptively saying, hey, this is the policy in the school district. This is just what it is. We're not just going to hand kids over to a federal agent. That's not going to happen. That's stupid. Anybody can agree with that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't see. I think to to me, it'd be really hard for me to see ICE agents go into a school.
Right. They're not going to.
Okay.
Right.
Now, if a felon, escaped illegal immigrant, broke into the school, okay, I hope the cops come and grab him out of the school, bro.
If the CROs or SROs are there that day.
Yeah, if they're there that day. That's another topic we're going to get on at the end because I think that is the most dangerous thing facing our kids.
Right. So that's the question I asked was, can the school district tell me how many kids are in the school district that are here illegally? They wouldn't track that. That as soon as I said it, I was like, that's a dumb question. They don't know. They're not going to track it.
They're not going to ask.
No. Why would they?
Should we ask?
I don't know. We have the Lake and Riley Act, but that's an adult, right?
Explain the Lincoln Riley Act.
So essentially preventing illegal immigrants from being in the country and attacking somebody that is not.
Yep.
So we have to get like the whole drawn out speak of it, but essentially that's it. It's to protect Lake and Riley, who was killed by somebody who shouldn't have been in the U.S.
Yep.
So that should translate into our school district because it's either dads that are protecting him or our kids or the district. Which one?
I kind of think it's kind of crazy. One, I don't know if it's a cultural issue up here or if it's an illegal immigration up here with the kids being in school. But I heard through the grapevine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because this is all rumor, that we can't actually teach enough of the kids up here because we don't have enough translators to translate different cultures up here. Why is that a problem? Do you know that's a problem? And what's the solution? Because me being an American, right? I know we don't have an official American language. English is just a sort of a byproduct of the nation. We have never set a standard for what language we're going to speak. But I kind of feel like every other country's already done that. So why doesn't America just set English in charge and say, if you're going to come to our country, you need to speak English. You need to assimilate to our values, right? Pretty simple. We did that for hundreds and hundreds of years. People immigrated over to be Americans in the same fashion, right? Not the same fashion that they're coming to America today. And some of them don't even want to, speak English, to have no concern or want to learn English. And to me, that's an epic failure, or soon to be an epic failure for society. Because how can we have business or commerce, any of these things, if we can't all speak together?
Either way, any business is going to cater to their community, and every school is going to cater to their community as well. So the Anchorage School District has over 100 languages that is spoken within our schools. And that's really hard. O'Malley School was in full force yesterday talking about their immersion programs, trying to keep those programs alive. And they're on the chopping block as well. So if we're just going to erase any kind of other communication mode, then we're going to have to force English. And that infringes on the rights of any individual who is an American citizen. It is their right to learn the language or not, because if it makes them happy or not. So I'm not sure if the school district is the right place to do that. But yes, if you're going to be taught with American dollars, you should be able to read what's on the dollar bill or the Constitution, one of the two.
Yeah,
wherever you fall in line, because either you're throwing money at things or you actually believe
that's
in
sort
something.
of where my mindset is. If we simplified it down and taught, right?
Yeah.
And you taught everybody English, all these kids English.
Yeah.
Okay. You would take away the barrier.
Yeah.
That is grown through second, third, fourth, fifth, kindergarten, high school, right? Like whatever grade you're in. Once they learn English, now everybody else can just. You don't have to go find 100
That's the specialty. Kids. Right. You're right with the kids for sure.
Specialty. Teachers, you don't have to go find all these translators. Like that to me is wasted cost. When we could just get the translator to teach the English class. Okay.
You're right.
And now everything out of that, and that could be a whole separate thing until they learn English. They're just in their own classroom, right? They're not learning math or, reading or history or any of that. They're literally learning the language so they can go now learn the class material, the course material.
I think they have something like that down there, but I haven't talked to everybody at the district building yet. I just saw their offices in there yesterday, but I'll look into that. For sure.
That was a question because I'm like, we're trying to make common sense solutions to fix the budget, right?
Yep.
I'm not trying to to downgrade anybody's culture,
Right.
okay, or anybody's ability to speak a second language. I think
Yeah.
you should learn a second, third, fourth, fifth language. If
Yeah.
you already have the mindset to do that, you're wasting out on life if you don't do that.
Right.
Okay.
No, it completely
don't have
changes
that.
the pathways in your brain to be able to learn better.
Yeah,
Like, it connects the
understand
right and
different
left
cultures
brain.
and understand a bunch of like America's a bunch of different cultures. I get
Right.
it. So if you want to go look
Yeah.
Russian, Taiwanese, Japanese, Arabic, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You should be able to do that. Spanish, Mexican, like whatever, okay? But I don't feel like we should be catering to them throughout the entire school.
Well, especially if it's taxpayer money. That's the way I look at it. If we're getting over $2,000 per child, federal money, then everybody else in the United States should have a say in what we're teaching our kids as well. And I agree with you. English should be.
And
one.
That's just like me thinking common sense solution.
Mhm.
If they taught English, then they could get rid of the translators eventually, right? Because now you're not having to dual language teach everything. And if they're not dual language teaching and just teaching all the curriculums in Spanish or Russian or whatever, and they're not promoting English, that to me is another problem, right? Because that's not the education that I was taught or you were taught or anybody in our founding history was ever taught. You came over with a second language, you learned English.
Right.
Okay. You came over with another education. Well, you got taught American education. Now, saying that's not saying a lot because we're at the 40 at the bottom of the list in the countries.
But you take out our public school system and just our charter schools, now we're in top 10.
Yeah.
And number one in the nation.
All right. So
by
you know a lot about
Academy.
the private schools and charter schools, correct?
Yep.
All right. So you said something earlier. We were talking about like the $20,000 price tag,
correct.
$15,000 price tag right now.
Yeah.
What's that equivalent over into like private schools? Because do they still have that same cost?
No.
Do you see what I'm saying? Right.
Yes.
If you just said they're in the top 10,
right,
and then we're paying this much and the kids are in the bottom and we're 49th, what is that number for the private schools, charter schools?
Remember the BSA number?
Yes.
The 5,000? It's that.
Just that.
Yeah. I believe there's a 4%.
Just that.
There's a 4% admin fee that's taken off for ASD because they control.
That's it.
Yeah. So less than half.
So if you want your kids to get a good education for a cheap price, you're hearing it here now, okay? Public school systems are not the answer or not the solution. And everybody that wants to do public school is kind of missing out on a brighter future for your kid because you're not getting the same education for your dollar.
Right. And I don't say that for everybody to just leave the school system and then go into the public school or private schools and charter schools. What it means is our public schools need to get better. Yes. So we need to cut that spending down. That's the logic to me. So if the charter schools can produce a much better product for our children and our future at much less of a cost.
And I'm just wondering what they would do if we gave that number and flipped it around. You know what I mean? Where 18,000 went over here.
You know what they would do? They would waste it.
Oh, that you think they would waste it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Money just follows the greed.
It does, man. Everywhere. You know, probably seen it. You've been around.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
I just like hearing it from other people, especially one that's running from office.
I saw it in the military for 20 years and I called it out constantly. I saved the Air Force $2.6 million almost overnight when I got to Germany.
And they probably gave you a smack on the back, and then they were like,
they sent me out on like flying around Africa and Europe. They're like, hey, go hang out with these dudes with guns. I'm like, sweet, let's do it.
Let's
go.
do it. I love it. All right. We kind of touched on it, but we really didn't touch on it in depth. School closures and what they call rightsizing.
Right.
I want to break that down.
It's a fancy term of saying we're spending too much money on, or let's just say we have too big of a house and we need to cut some of it off. We can't afford it anymore. We need to downsize. It's not right size. It's downsize.
Was sort of like closing schools.
Yep.
Is what they're talking about.
Right. Yep.
And everybody got pissed off about that.
Well, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona, walking distance to my elementary school. Like, I remember, running through they would flood the field. So there'd be like doo-doos floating around in there.
Yeah.
Safe stuff back in the day. But I remember when it closed and the whole neighborhood was up in arms about it because that's our school. That's our community. But things have to change with where we want to spend our money. So we started seeing, kids like me growing up out of that age range And we're seeing that across the district as well with our declining population, right? There has to be cuts somewhere. It's going to come from somewhere. But like, let's say Fire Lake Elementary up in Eagle River was slotted to be closed down. The Eagle Academy was going to move into that. The Eagle Academy is the number one school in the nation, was going to move into that building and be able to produce a much better product in our community. But the parents stood up and said, no, we need our school. We need to save it. And our legislators like, no, we need to save our school. Our parents want it. But nobody listened to common sense. It was going to transition to a better product. And I feel like that message is not getting out because of bureaucracy.
I was at a community council meeting and they were talking about closing down one of the schools.
Yeah.
And the biggest debate I heard back or complaint wasn't that it was like a common sense thing. Mm-hmm. It's that the liberal Democrats, the socialists, the communist Marxists in our state, in Anchorage specifically.
Right.
Okay. I'm talking to everyone in my community council right now. Okay. All of you are socialist, liberal, Democrat thugs. Okay. And their only reason, and I'm saying this because I heard it firsthand. Okay. Is that they don't want these schools to leave the public school district because the first person under the charter that gets access to them is, you know who?
American
charter
Family
schools.
Partnership? I don't know.
Charter schools.
Which one?
All right. So when they close down,
just in general,
any
charter schools.
Charter school. All right. That's how disconnected they are for success.
Yep.
Is that they'd rather burn a building down to the ground
and rebuild it.
Okay. And rebuild
on
it
a bond
for themselves on a bond
for 5 years.
Taxpayer
and then extend
money.
it.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Instead of giving these buildings up for auction to save money, to put it in the cost of somebody else that wants to do a better job than you.
Right.
Okay. They can't go to sleep at night. Okay. And be like, oh man, this charter school is going to come in. Oh no, man. They're going to fire all the wasteful teachers and all the admin and the 19 principals we have. Like, they don't want that shit.
No.
Okay. At all.
Right now, the Rilke Schule, the German immersion school, is in a building and they're spending $900,000 in rent. It's like almost their whole budget. Think of what they could do with that much money for our kids if ASD would just let them into a building that's not being used. Like if you look at every building
being used. See, that's just like
every building's being used, just not efficiently. Correct. Yes. Yeah, all right. The space is not being properly utilized.
So you're putting like 10 people in this building over here that fits 1,000 and
right, yeah. Okay. To make it look good, keep the lights on.
Yeah, keep the light. Yeah.
To get more money per building
today. Yeah. All right.
It's all falling into place, right?
Do you know about how much the school district owns in buildings or properties?
I actually don't at all. Like I don't know that number.
Because it was crazy. I was just wondering because I was looking on a totally separate thing with the Alaska State Troopers, and you wouldn't believe the amount of money or the amount of properties that the state troopers just own sporadically. Yeah. And then you start looking into the city. Okay.
They got some connexes some places too.
I'm just saying sporadically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Like the most random locations, you'll be like, oh, the state troopers own this, or oh, the city owns this.
Yeah.
What are we doing with all this money? I have no idea. Someday I'm hoping Doge is going to come in here. Not Alaska Doge, not any other state Doge, but real Doge. Okay.
Right.
Third party.
Yeah.
System to come in here and just smash down everyone in education, economics, energy, just come clean up the state. We're kind of a dumpster fire.
We are.
To me, it's kind of an embarrassment. And I don't know how these legislators aren't embarrassed with where we're at a state, a nation. And I don't understand where they don't think there's a disconnect, because I feel whether you're a parent, right, or on the school, there's a disconnect in every one of these legislations, from the legislation branch to the executive branch to the judicial branch. I feel like no matter where you go on the three branches of government, we don't get a say, we don't get a voice. They don't want us talking about anything, okay? Right. And when you do talk about it, they want to come attack you. The second that you're getting movement and we're making a difference and you're actually educating people on the facts, okay, they have nothing better to do to come attack you. Oh, you're misinformation because you don't know all the numbers. You weren't in the back room. You didn't hear our private conversations. Okay, well, fuck, man. To me, that's you not being accountable. That's you not showing transparency, right? And I hope that if you do win and you get in and win, that we can continue to have transparent, accountable conversations, okay? Because I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because I would say maybe the two of us aren't the smartest in this room because Aiden's over there, But
shout out to my producer.
Yeah, any room that we go into, though, both of us know we're not the smartest in the room. Like there are some smart parents out there that have some great ideas. They just don't have the time.
Yep.
So they just need to convey the message at whatever time of day. It doesn't matter. Like the school board is not a 9 to 5 to me. Like I've been living this for a year, trying to make improvements to the district, and this is just where I ended up. So I'm jumping into this like feet, head first, everything, throwing it out there. If a parent has an issue at 3 a.m. and it means that much to their kid, text me. If I'm sleeping, I'll get it when I wake up.
Yep, I love that.
Yeah.
Always, reach back, outreach. If you're not on X, you're not on Facebook, make sure you get him. Alex is Alex Rosales for schoolboard.com. Rosales.
Alex for schoolboard.ak.com.
Alex for schoolboard, AK.com.
Made it simple.
We're going to do that one more time, folks. Alex for schoolboard, AK.com. And that's where you can go and look and see his whole mission statement, his values, what he's planning on doing for the Anchorage school board seat. And the election is in what? It's
on April 1st.
April 1st.
Yep, April Fool's Day.
April 1st.
You cannot forget
folks,
that.
This is how easy this election is, okay?
Yes.
You don't even got to tune up, show up. You don't got to do none of that. All you got to do is when you receive your ballot in the mail, open it up. Fill out all the little dots. Make sure that you fill in Alex Rosales.
Or
Mark Anthony Cox.
Look up the names. Like you'll see a big difference in the two. So.
Big difference.
Yeah.
And
just look at the websites.
Who's your opponent?
Margot Bellamy.
Yeah.
She was the previous school board president. She's been in the seat for about 10 years.
Time for a change. I'm not supporting anybody in office anymore, really. Right. If you've been in 10 years, okay, and you're proud of where we're at in the state,
they can't be proud.
Get out of here.
Right.
Okay. If you're out here saying we're gonna make a change, you've had 10 years, you never made a change.
Right.
Don't trust Margot at all. Facts. Okay. Right. I don't care who you are. Right. Don't trust any of these people.
Right.
Tell your friends about Alex. Tell your friends about Anthony Cox. All right.
Yep.
And vote Anthony Cox and Alex for school board. If you can, it helps. Make a post, repost, share his name, share his photo, share his information out. All right. And if you want real facts from a conservative, a Christian, not some liberals with an attack agenda, you know what I mean? You gotta pay attention. You gotta follow us. You gotta across platforms. Alex is very active on social medias. All right. Yeah. You can find him all over social media. He'll text you back. He'll comment on your stuff. Please leave him comments. He loves DMs. He loves text messages. He loves emails. Okay. Yep. Hit him up, contact him, find out what he's about. And maybe, you want to have a conversation to see if he's a real person. Give him a shout. Give him a holler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing is that actually reach out. Don't just assume. Because, I'll talk to anybody as long as you don't come with hate first. And don't be stupid about it. Because why?
Yeah,
honestly.
It's that whole Moms for Liberty thing really just it kind of irked me because they had no intention on asking a question or getting to the bottom or have a conversation.
Has nothing to do with school board whatsoever.
Nothing.
None.
And it kind of blows my mind that every one of these libtards come at you with the fact that they have to throw a name at you and idolize, put these specific titles on you because they can't have a conversation. They can't understand where we're headed to. And all we want to do and all I want to help you do is successfully help save the children.
Right.
Okay. Let's save taxpayers some money. Okay.
Yes.
Let's put the power back into the parents. Okay. Yes. And let's make, education, not indoctrination.
Correct. That was a good way of saying American values in our school district. Yeah. We'll mega the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Make education great again.
I love it. Well, Alex, I think this was a great show. You want anything you want to send off with before we wrap up?
biggest thing is I kind of touched on it. Look at the website, compare the two of us. If you like what you see on the website, hit up Gracie. She did a phenomenal job capturing who I am as a person and putting it on a website. So it's a work of art. She is setting the standard for what we need to expect from candidates in Alaska.
I love it. Well, thank you for your time. And this has been another episode of Alaska Rants with Alex Rosales, School Board
Got it.
CA.
Seat A.
And we will catch you next time. Peace out.